Young. So we come to the first of 4 substantive papers. We've got the Tūpuna Maunga Authority operational plan. We've got the adoption of the revenue and financing policy, the adoption of the recovery budget and rate setting. As you'll all be aware, these have all been debated, they've been workshopped and they've been voted on before, principally on the 25th of May. So today is more of a formal procedure to formally approve these documents. So item number 8, if I can ask Dominic Wilson and Nick Turoa to come forward, please, to talk to the Tūpuna Maunga Authority operational plan and the 10-year budget. And I'll ask Councillor Filipaina, would you move, and Councillor Dalton second. And now invite, is it Dominic, are you leading off today?
Yes,
the floor is yours.
Well, tēnā koutou katoa, tēnā te mihi kia koutou. So yes, every year you see us before you in relation to the operational plan, and you're probably all well aware that the operational plan is agreed both by the Tūpuna Maunga Authority and the Auckland Council. It's a matter of how it's agreed through the legislation. So in the paper, it sets out the consultation that's been run, and just the highlight really for that is that consultation was run through the Auckland Council process as per usual, but also the Tūpuna Maunga Authority runs its own process, a separate independent one. And generally what we found is that the authorities one is more targeted, with perhaps fewer people and groups responding, but they're normally longer and more detailed and more targeted responses. And then the Auckland Council's one is a general, much more general, and gives a wider snapshot of the wider population. Following on from the consultation, the matters raised didn't raise anything that management saw a need for amendment in the draft operational plan, and then that came before you as in a hui with the Tūpuna Maunga Authority to discuss that. And so today the operational plan and the summary of the plan are before you, are ready for your consideration and agreement. Kia ora tātou.
Kia ora. Thank you very much, Dominic. Nick, anything that you want to add to that? Are there any questions? Are there any comments? Councillor Filipaina.
Thank you, Your Worship. Tēnā korua and tēnā koutou katoa te whānau Tūpuna Maunga Authority. Look, Your Worship, I just wanted to acknowledge the fact, one, the members on the Tūpuna Maunga Authority, the Chair, our mana whenua, but more in particular our staff. Just very briefly, everything's been outlined in the agenda item, but Your Worship and Councillors, the work that our Tūpuna Maunga Authority team under Nick and what we're going through in regards to a lot of the work on our Maunga needs to be acknowledged. And I say to our team, thank you so much. Please pass it on to them, because we all know the issues that all of us are facing around the management plan. But this operational plan will be key to achieving what I know will be beneficial for our whānau across Tamaki Makaurau. So ngā mihi kia koutou katoa, and please pass it on to our whānau at the operationals. Tēnā koe, te rangatira, koro matua.
Thank you very much. Nick and Dominic, because we're now into commentary section, you're welcome to withdraw from the table. Questions? Do we have any other comments? If not, I'd just like to thank all of the members, both councillors and members of the authority, for the work that they have done on the Maunga. They are absolutely part of the taonga of Tamaki Makaurau, and any of us that have actually been on the Maunga in recent times will have seen some significant improvements from sometimes the rather dilapidated state that they were in the past. I think that's really important. We acknowledge the ownership of the Maunga by the mana whenua, but we also acknowledge that these are being held in perpetuity for the enjoyment of all tangata whenua and all Aucklanders. And we're blessed as a city to have the Maunga there for our enjoyment, our recreation, and it's great to see the restoration that is taking place. So the motion is to agree.
Your Worship, sorry, look, I just want to acknowledge Sandra in regards to our recommendation and the use of whakai. That needs to be acknowledged, because I think the more we get into the use of Māori in our recommendations, the more commonplace and everything else. But the use of that is, I know, Sandra, want to acknowledge in regards to that, because I think it's so important for us moving forward around Te Reo. Kia ora. Thank you.
Kia ora.
Worship, sorry.
Thank you, Councillor. So that was very timely. There is another comment from Councillor Wayne Walker.
So just want to make a comment, Mr Mayor, and I can't say that I've been particularly involved with the operational plan, but certainly my observation, having visited some of the Maunga, is that there are trees that are on some of these Maunga that are quite outstanding. They may not be natives, but some of them are very old and are of substantial proportions, and are also contributing significantly to the environment, storing carbon, providing a place for birds and the like. And I do make the observation that it is very disappointing that some of these trees be removed early in their lives. And I would just urge other councillors to visit some of these locations and appreciate the magnitude of when some of these trees are removed, because they are, as it stands, very significant in terms of the vegetation in some of these areas.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Richard Hills.
Kia ora, thank you, Mayor. Just want to briefly say just congratulations again to the Tūpuna Maunga Authority, the amazing work you're doing, the fact that you are going to and are already underway in making all the Maunga places of urban ngahere that were like they were many, many years ago. The fact you've restored the mauri of the Maunga in my hood already. Removal of the cars going up Takaronga was controversial for a small amount of time, but has actually created an amazing space up there. The birds and the breathable air and the safety of people. There are more people visiting Maunga on the North Shore than ever before, and that is now with the vehicles removed. There's still access for those who can't make it up by foot or by wheels, but also the fact, and many people would have seen it during the America's Cup and the amazing work you had going on there with the events and the kapahaka and the storytelling, but also the fact you've restored some of the more Pākehā related or World War I and II related artifacts and made the tunnels safer and done things like that. So I think many people were quite happy to see the restoration of what was, long, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, the natural formation of the past sites, but also you're restoring some of the World War artifacts and tunnels and things like that as well, that people were being able to see it all work and link together. So I just want to say that you're bringing the biodiversity back to our Maunga is so important for our climate, and I'm seeing it rapidly change. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Linda Cooper.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I guess I just want to reflect on this and how it must have been for the iwi when European came and we started stripping all the maunga of all the foliage, everything, including the wildlife where they got their food. And the grief and despair that would have caused, as well as it started a cycle of poverty, not being able to look after yourself and actually forage for your own food. And there was no plan to reforest. This is the other way. Yes, there will be grief and there will be upset, but at least there's a plan to reforest it, where there wasn't when our foremothers and fathers did it. And so I think at least there's some way of repairing what the perception that it's destruction, and hopefully it'll bring back some of the native birds that it was natural for them to feed on the native trees, where it wasn't so natural for them to feed on things like acmina. You know, so it's a cycle of change, and I think it's good. You know, it helps stop erosion on those maunga as well, and we'll have them for longer. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. So the motion is to whakai the operational plan and summary, and to include the summary in the 10-year budget. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. To the contrary, no. I declare that carried. We